Thinking of selling your home? Stay tuned for this edition of Money in Your Pocket. Real estate broker Doug Stanberry will be here to talk about the factors that make homes sell and what you need to do to prepare your home for potential buyers. Doug will have a lot of great advice to share, so don't go away.
This program is made possible in part by Credit Union One. Proud to support Money in Your Pocket. Credit Union One offers savings and lending options. Additional information on membership available at creditunion1.org. Loans subject to approval. Accounts are insured up to $250,000. By member's choice, this institution is not federally insured.
Welcome back to Money in Your Pocket. I'm your host, Lori Casey, and today we're talking real estate with Doug Stanberry, who's a real estate broker with All American Homes Realty and Land. Did I say that right?
You did.
All right. How long have you been in the real estate business, Doug?
Since 1982.
Any idea of how many houses you've sold?
No, I really don't. I don't know. A lot.
Yeah. But you have bought and sold and seen houses. That's why we've got you on the show today to talk about when people want to sell, what are some things that they can do to maybe get a little money out of the sale of their house, but most importantly, people want to sell.
Sure.
So let me ask you the first question. How long do you think someone, and we're talking in our area, needs to stay in their house before they can kind of get some sort of return on their investment?
That's a very difficult question, Lori, because that depends on several factors. It's going to depend on, well, like the mortgage. If they have a 15-year mortgage, their equity will be building up quicker than if they have a 30-year mortgage. It would depend on how much down payment they put down, whether they have mortgage insurance or not, because that's an added cost to the payment. So that's a really tough question to really quantify on how long they would have to be in the home. I suppose what they could do would be to improve the home while they're there to make it more livable to themselves and hopefully more marketable if they go to sell it. That would probably be the most surefire way to add value to the property.
So let's talk about in our area, not what we see on TV on the different networks. In our area, what really makes a home sell? Is it still location?
Very interesting question. Yes. In fact, I kind of asked some of these questions to my staff earlier today, and they all said the same thing: location, location, location. And that is, I know that's very cliche, but that is very true. Location is very important in real estate. However, we sell homes in all locations, so probably you would see more value, or the value holding more in a property in a good location.
Are there certain kinds of houses that sell easier, faster than others? A small home versus an executive type of home, or something really old? What's kind of in right now? What's selling in our area?
I would say in our market, ranch-style homes. One-story homes are probably the most sought after. Maybe ranch-style homes with basements, and those are rather rare, and a lot of people want those. So I would say that's probably a hot commodity in our market, maybe in the last several years.
I wanted you to talk about something that I think maybe some people may be shocked to hear about when I said, well, buying a home's an investment. But you had an interesting take that you said to your colleagues just recently, and it was a little shocking.
Well, it's the truth, but homes are money pits. I mean, let's face it, they are. They are money pits. Maybe that's a negative connotation, but it's the truth. It takes money to maintain our homes. And you either maintain the home as you live in it every year, or if you don't, down the road when you are ready to sell it, you will take the hit. We see this happen all the time. If people don't keep their homes in good condition, if they don't keep them relatively updated, 10 years, 20 years, 25, 30 years down the road when they go to sell it, a new buyer is going to come in and look, oh my gosh, I've got to replace the roof, I've got to replace the heating system, I've got to update the kitchen and the bathrooms. So they're going to take that price off of the price of the home. So you either pay now or you pay later. And that's just the reality of it.
So who really then, in our area, not these people out in California or Florida, who makes money on real estate, on home sales? What kind of person can actually make some money?
Well, it again, that depends on a lot of factors. It depends on when you bought the property, what you bought the property for. I mean, you can look at someone who's lived in their house for 30, 40 years. Well, they will not have paid as much for the property, of course. So when they go to sell it, they would have a gain. It's very difficult to make money on property if you're selling within a few years. That's just really difficult to do. But on the other hand, our market here has been fairly stable over the years. I mean, in my career, it has been relatively stable. I mean, we probably have a gradual increase of value. Now, there have been some years where values would have come down, but overall, our market here is more stable. When you go to the large markets like in Phoenix and Las Vegas and Miami and Chicago, in the last 10 years, when they had the bubble burst, they had huge appreciation, and then they had big crashes as well. So we did not have that here. We didn't have the level of predatory lending that those large markets experienced.
You had talked about when you buy your home and you live in there, certain things that should be maintained over the course of time. What sort of things do you recommend people continue to keep up on their house?
Well, you want to keep the house in good repair. You want to maintain your heating system, your cooling system. Roofs last 20 to 30 years on average. You just want to keep the property in good repair. I would say you would. You want to maintain the value, and a lot of people confuse improvements with maintenance.
Okay.
They will add up every nickel they've spent on the property, like every can of paint that they have bought, and they'll come to us and say, "Well, I paid $100,000 for the house. I spent $30,000 on it, so it's worth $130,000 plus." Well, when you go to find out what that $30,000 was, well, we replaced the furnace, or we replaced the roof, or we put in new carpet, or whatever. Well, those items are maintenance items versus improvements. An improvement would be like if you added a room addition, put a room addition, or if you built another garage. Those are improvements that hopefully would improve the value of the property. Now, getting back to the maintenance items, if you don't make those maintenance investments, when you go to sell the property, you're going to get hit there by the buyer.
Yeah, so if you have 30-year-old carpet and cabinets and countertop.
Yes. Or if you've got a furnace that is on its last leg.
Right.
I just went through this earlier this year. We could see the furnace was ancient. I mean, it was rusted out around the bottom, and the buyer knew that when they negotiated their offer. Well, the home inspection was done, and the inspector said, "Oh, the furnace is on its last leg, could be leaking carbon monoxide." So, of course, he came back and negotiated money toward a new furnace from the seller, and the seller did pay. So if he had put in a new furnace, he wouldn't have had that problem in the negotiation after the inspection.
What are the things when you're taking people around and they're looking at houses, what are the key things they're looking at that really, I mean, aside from the location, when they look at stuff that's been maintained, what are the key things?
The key things, I would say in my experience, 80% of people buying homes are looking for turnkey condition. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to paint. They don't want to recarpet. They just want to move in. About 80% of the buyers. 20% of the buyers are not afraid of redecorating or wallpaper or work on a house, but that is a very, very narrow market. So the homes that sell the quickest and with the least hassle, the shortest amount of time, are homes that are turnkey condition, that are updated and clean, and buyers can walk in and not have to do one thing.
So if 80% of the people want that, are 80% of the houses on the market turnkey, do you think?
No, I would say, oh gosh, it's probably, I'd say less than 50. Yeah, but those homes are the ones that sell the quickest.
Okay.
Those are the ones that sell the fastest. And right now we've been in a very, very fast market for the month of April. We've seen multiple offers on some properties, which that is rare nowadays.
In our area.
And the properties that had that were properties that were in turnkey condition.
So if you're living in your house now, keep it
Keep it maintained. Keep it maintained. And, you know, I'm not saying go out and spend a lot of money every year to keep, you know, update to stainless steel appliances, you know, change that all the time. But it will pay off. It will pay off in the end.
Do people, when they're looking for a house, are they thinking of just that house, or are they thinking resale in the future?
Well, yeah, they are. They are to an extent. There's a balance between thinking about resale versus buying that special home that we love. And with our personal homes, it is to a large extent an emotional purchase. So there's the trade-off. Yes, I love this home, but I'm not that crazy about the location.
So you can't think of it all in terms of resale. You kind of, there has to be a little bit of emotion.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the. I mean, I guess some buyers are less emotional than others.
Okay.
People that are, they're here, you know, for a job, will be here a few years. You know, they are going to look more at resale than people that are probably here for the long term. You know, they're going to customize that home if it's not there already. But they're looking at more the emotional return on living in that home than, like I said, someone who would be in and out of here within 5 years.
Are there certain, when you look at, you know, maybe it's number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, are there kind of like factors that really make a home sell, or factors that make it harder to sell because maybe it's got one bathroom versus two, that sort of thing?
Oh, definitely, definitely. 2 bathrooms, or at least a bath and a half. In fact, I was just with clients earlier today, and they're purchasing a home with 2 full baths, but they're going to renovate the entire house. And the master bathroom is a small bathroom, and they asked me, well, since it's so small, should we just eliminate that shower and just make it a bath and a half? I said, absolutely not. Do not do that, because that will hurt on resale. Something else, I mean, the trends change over the years. Like lately, I've noticed that, especially if you're dealing with female buyers or with people with daughters, they want a bathroom with 2 sinks, like you know, for the hall bath, and that can be difficult to find. Usually you can find that in the master bathroom, but it's difficult to find in the hall bath. But that is very important to a family with a lot of girls. And here's something else that's a fairly new trend. Garages. I have a home that is selling, and the reason this home sold over its competition is because the garage was deep enough to handle the buyer's pickup truck.
Oh, so like the size
The
of vehicle.
size of the garage matters.
That's if there's men in the family.
It does. It does. It made the difference in this home selling over its, you know, competition.
That's
so
interesting.
yeah,
So trends do change.
They do. They do.
So what are some things that are in a house that make it harder to sell? Like, does a swimming pool make a house harder to sell?
Well, what a swimming pool will do, it will narrow the market. And also, as far as the return on investment, it is zero, unfortunately. You're better off, if you're wanting to put in a swimming pool in your house, you're better off to sell that home and find one with a pool, because the appraisers will not give any value for that swimming pool.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's sad because they're, you know, I think nowadays probably a swimming pool would be a minimum of $30,000.
Like the full
So,
in-ground
yes,
kind
absolutely,
of swimming pool.
absolutely.
Are there other things that don't yield any return on investment that homeowners add? Pool, greenhouse maybe?
Do you know what? We see a few greenhouses. We see a few of those. So I really don't know that we've really tested the market on what value you would get, or I don't know that it makes that much difference. They're usually older. They've been there for years, you know, so we don't really know what the cost of putting that in would be. I would say a phenomenon that I've noticed is so many people nowadays have pets. That is very common, more than it used to be. But yet, if you have a home that has a strong pet odor, it's hard to sell.
It is.
It's very difficult to sell.
I've looked at houses, and that is the first thing that
Yes.
I can smell. I have a certain
Absolutely.
smell nose for
That's
that.
right. That's right. And like I said, even people who have pets, they would pass on that house because of the odor. So, it kind of doesn't make sense. But yeah, that could make it hard.
I would think so. As people are in their house, they're going to do some maybe renovations. what are the things that really make the house sell? New kitchens, that sort of
Yes,
stuff?
new kitchen and bathrooms. Those are probably the two most important things to do. If you are thinking about selling the house down the road, I would recommend looking into that. Plus, you would have the enjoyment of that new kitchen, new bathrooms while you're remaining in the home. A lot of people wait until the last minute to do that, and they've got the house all fixed up to sell, and then they're going to sell it, and they didn't get to enjoy it. So, kitchen and bathrooms. Now it's hard to say, because the National Association of Realtors, they do cost benefit studies every year, and they do it per area of the country. And so like here in our area, we would be like the Chicago, the Midwest area. Like the return on investment of like a kitchen remodel and a master, like maybe even a master bedroom addition, none of those costs, I mean, I haven't seen anything this year, but they typically are not 100%. So it could be 80% of the cost you put into it if you sell the home like within a year after you do that. So there are studies that you can look at to see what you can expect to get, if you go to sell the house within a year or so after making that improvement.
I know you are big on the photograph taking and kind of the house staging. So, say someone is ready to sell their house, they've either secured a realtor or they've decided to sell it themselves, and they're ready to take those photographs because that's what everybody sees.
Sure.
What is your recommendation on how to get that house ready for photographs and potential buyers?
Declutter. And even if you have to rent a storage unit, that is money well spent, because another trend I've noticed in the years of my career is we have become hoarders. We have become pack rats. I mean, we see that so common anymore, where you're going to homes where there'll be rooms that are absolutely full of stuff. And I don't remember seeing that back in the early 80s as much as we see now. I mean, we see rooms we can't even get into to measure because they're just full of stuff. So that, when you're showing your house, that is a big turnoff to buyers. I mean, it of course makes the property look smaller, and plus, you can't see the house. So definitely declutter. Staging the house, we try to recommend things that don't really cost any money to the seller. To, try to work with what you've got. Maybe moving the furniture around. You would make the rooms look larger. We try those things first to see if we can just make the house more marketable, rather than asking the sellers to spend any money to stage the house. Usually if they have fairly decent things, so we can figure out a way to make the house look better.
What about the whole depersonalizing the house and the family photos and that sort of stuff?
That I feel it should be depersonalized, and there's a good reason for that, and that is if you leave all the family photos out, it distracts the buyer from looking at the home. They're focusing in on the pictures of the people that live there. And we want the buyers to psychologically place themselves as the owner, as the new owner of the property. And that is very difficult to do if the picture, the family photos, and everything is around. So it's a good idea to try to depersonalize as much as possible. There's always a counterpoint to that. I was showing a family a few weeks ago, and several of the homes we looked at were very well staged and look like model homes. Well, the home they ended up buying, they said, "This looks really well lived in and homey. This feels like a home."
So you can make it.
And they bought it.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows?
Are there people that prefer going into a house that's completely empty versus one with the furniture in? Is that just a personal thing? Like they can't see their stuff in it if it's got other people's, especially if their style is really different?
Yeah, it probably would go down to that 80-20 rule, perhaps. I feel that if the house is empty, I don't really feel that is a deal killer or makes the house more difficult to sell, because at least they can visualize the space. And that's what the house will look like when they get the keys on the date of closing.
Sure.
So it's, there's no surprises there. They can see what they're getting. And again, it can be difficult, to bring in, things, to kind of furnish the house.
So what if you got some crazy paint colors? You had a daughter who loved bright pink and your son loves bright red in their bedrooms. Should you paint those over? That's
a very good question. It depends. It depends on how well it is decorated. Because I have gone into homes before where, like in the kids' bedrooms, they had just these really wild decors. Like there was one where the daughter she was a Rascal Flatts fan. And the whole room was an homage to Rascal Flatts. I mean, she even had the bedspread that was a photograph of Rascal Flatts with her in it.
Okay.
But it was well done. It was just very tastefully done. And I told the seller, I said, I wouldn't change a thing, leave it, because it's well done. So we sold the house fairly quickly. We went and looked at we have a house that we just listed out in the country, and again, I mean, the colors in the house are all just absolutely gorgeous, like a turquoise in the dining room, and all of the kids' bedrooms are all done in a different theme, just as cute as it can be. So I think that the bold colors will work if it is done tastefully.
And not cluttered.
And not cluttered. Right. If things just, I mean, some people can tell when you walk in, well, this looks good and this really doesn't. So if the colors are just too much, and if it's just not quite right, then maybe it needs to be neutralized. I tell sellers that when you're getting ready to sell the home, you either want to have your wall colors neutral or in what I call today's HGTV colors.
Okay.
That will also work. Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about your realtor, obviously. If someone's going to use a realtor, what sort of credentials should they look for to make sure that they're using someone that has the right kinds of certifications or background?
Okay. Well, selling your house or buying a home, it is the largest investment that most people make, and I know that's a cliche, but you probably need to work with someone who is experienced, who has a lot of sales under their belt, and knows how to navigate through the financing and the home inspection and all the problems that we run into in every transaction. And in every transaction, there are new problems that we've not dealt with before. Some transactions are very smooth and have no problems. Some of them have huge problems. So really, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, I want to get into real estate." Oh, you go around looking at houses all day. We spend most of our time solving problems, whether it be regarding the seller or with the buyer or parts of the transaction. So to have as smooth of a transaction as possible, probably experience. And I am a realtor. Realtor is a national, that's our trade organization. Not all real estate people are realtors. Okay. But most in Charleston Mattoon belong to the board, so most of us are realtors.
And you're a real estate broker, so
correct.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, that actually is a term from the state of Illinois.
Okay.
Prior to about 2 or 3 years ago, you either were a real estate, like a salesperson, a real estate salesperson, or a managing broker or a broker.
Okay.
They changed that because they rewrote the license law because the perception in the public was that everyone who was a real estate agent was a broker. And so they changed it. So we are now brokers and managing brokers.
Okay.
So all real estate salespeople in Illinois are real estate brokers now. And like in our company, and Candy is our managing broker. Okay, so that's the distinction, and it's just the change in the name.
Okay.
Because before it was salesperson, broker. Now it's broker, managing broker.
Okay. Well, Doug, we're like at 1 minute left. If you had a few hints for people that are thinking about selling their house, what would you suggest to them?
Now is the time, because we are
Spring, summer is the best time.
It is, and this year, 2015, it has been absolutely swamped since the 1st of April. It just went like the switch was flipped, and it was kind of a long winter and not a lot of
cold
movement.
Spring
Yes. And just like I said, around the end of March, 1st of April, just things went crazy. So I'm recommending to people, if they're wanting to sell their homes, now is the time. If you've got the home ready, get it listed, because you don't want to wait until the buyers have already bought, because we are a rather seasonal market here. Most people want to be in their new homes by the time school starts if they have children. So that means, okay, we're looking at the middle of August for school, so they want to be closed, by the middle of July at the latest. So you can really miss the best market if you wait too long.
And get your house decluttered,
get it
cleaned
ready.
up, get it ready before you put it on the market.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because first impressions
Yes.
make a difference.
Otherwise, if you don't, then you're going to, it's going to be shown. People won't like it. It's not going to sell, and it's just too hard getting the house ready all the time. Get it ready and get it sold quickly.
All right. Well, Doug, great to see you. Thank you so much for coming by
You're
Money in Your
welcome.
Pocket.
You bet.
Thanks. The bottom line for selling your house is don't confuse maintenance with improvements. Improvements are things like additions, such as a garage or extra rooms. Maintenance, those are things like roofs, windows, and furnaces. Now those things, if you don't keep up with them, will get you at selling time, so keep up on home maintenance. Now Doug says about 80% of buyers are looking for a turnkey home. So if you want to sell your home faster, make sure it's ready to move in. And finally, when it comes time to take photos of your home, make sure it's decluttered and depersonalized. First impressions make a big difference. Well, that's all the time for this edition of Money in Your Pocket. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
This program is made possible in part by Credit Union One. Proud to support Money in Your Pocket. Credit Union One offers savings and lending options. Additional information on membership available at creditunion1.org. Loans subject to approval. Accounts are insured up to $250,000. By Members' Choice, this institution is not federally insured.